We are T-minus 2 weeks until the next race. So it's a Friday night and we are being a bit bold. How close to the bone can we make this? Goodbye, stock inlet. First up, that comes out. This is Brian earning his dinner. So what you'll need to do is take the kick plate off. Don't do that, just pull the kick. Jesus! That can come out.
That's me up.
Take it in. I wanna start again. Take me away. Come take me away. Take me away.
I've only got 2 mics.
Only got 2 mics.
And Brian can just sit there and swear in the corner and tell us we're all...
Plus that sounds like Jamesy Cotter.
That's me.
Anyway.
Right, so what we've got to so far, you'll notice the car is up and an amount of work has been done. So the first thing, we'll cover all this in stages. So first and foremost, we've installed a wideband lambda. Here is the old not wideband just about to come back up. We're about to drop the car back down and we'll go over the other steps that we have done in the engine bay. Understandably, we've covered this, which is now test muled up. We've got the vacuum reference port plumbed in there. Probably not actually going to need it for this application. And I've got a wee hole cut here to plug in the USB for programming.
Yeah, this is just so we can just test the. See, to be honest, I might still not even use it. I might just.
It's there.
Put it on alpha end straight away.
It means that we have.
It's just so there's a hose there in case we try it. So.
I feel sorry for Brian. If only I had the budget for 3 mics, but I don't even think the road option comes with that. Today appears to be Daniel's turn to be in a bad mood.
No, it's like, I've already done it before.
You asked me to cut it, you didn't say cut it exactly like this. What we're doing here is making a gauge mount. And in order to take the gauges out, a Mark II MX5, there's a knack. You get a juice bottle and then you feed it all the way around the outside of the gauge.
That's the challenging bit.
That is kind of the challenging bit.
This is fun.
So, I hope you found that really useful. We're not putting it back in to try that again.
Yeah, no, the idea is what you do is there's the clips there. So you snake this in, and with a bit of snaking, what you eventually end up is you actually
unclip it.
You actually get it past the clips, and then that will just slide out without destroying the dashboard.
And it's very, very easy, and it doesn't take 2 people.
It is a bit of a pain. See, to be fair, that's a really thin ball.
There we go. That's the way to go quiet inside, just point the camera in. So this is far more finesse than I would ever put into wiring.
Well, no, it's just because it could drop off things.
But what's wrong with Scotch blocks? Anyway.
Right, moving on.
Moving swiftly on. We don't necessarily need this. You could do a wideband, but this is a built-in wideband controller and gauge.
Yeah.
So it makes sense to just do that as a gauge. Now what we've managed, taking out this here, cut a wee gap so we can run the lund in, and I've also bunged this so that it's not going to overheat the back of the gauge. We're going to run this down. We're going to take a feed to power it from the cigarette lighter. And it's just one wire, which goes into the ECU. So this is 0 to 5 volt.
0 to 5, which is going to pin 2C. 2C.
For all the 6Es who own these cars that are going to copy this. So that should be enough to completely...
Yeah, there's plenty there to get it in the car and make it nice and pretty.
Yeah, and that's it. That is all we will need to run Alpha N. But it should also run the engine itself without the throttle bodies on it, because all we will do is run the wideband, run the air intake temperature sensor, and just lie to the rest of it and say it doesn't need it.
The only thing you need for Alpha N is TPS, your usual, you know, crank signal, cam signal stuff, but air temp, all your water temp, stuff like that. But and obviously you could run it without a wideband, but we are going to have the wideband on to trim it in case you get any
Wild readings.
Yeah, but also we're going to use the map sensor as a barometric pressure sensor, so that when you go climbing up hills and the air density changes, it will correct for it.
So we are just going to be mimicking throttle bodies by having one.
Yeah.
So let's see if that works. And thanks, Brian also needs a jobby.
Sorry, I didn't.
Thanks.
That was that's a bit out of the blue, that, wasn't it?
I might send the mic in.
Please don't.
Jobby mic. We could feasibly have these throttle bodies done tonight. We're not going to do that though. So what we have done though, if you look very carefully here, that is a Megasquirt equipped ECU. We'll put the ABS back in so it doesn't spaz out. We have now got the lead into what will be Tuner Studio shortly. And we're going to check the base map and make sure that the ECU will do something when we turn the key.
So there's various kind of basic parameters that go in. What is the oxygen sensor? How do you want the units displayed? Celsius, Fahrenheit. A lot of this stuff ends up deactivated, but it's something when you first turn one on. Like, we don't know. This was bought basically second hand.
Sight unseen, second hand.
But it looks like it was never even fit to a car, so chances are this was never done. So we're just going to go through and just do it.
So there's a fairly high chance that when we turn the key, something should happen. This will be tidied up, but isn't it nice?
It's all wired in though. All the thing we do is just also put cigarette lighter and put.
Yeah. That really is about the only indication with the bonnet's down that there'll be anything going on with this.
Should, at the moment, if we've got the jumpers correct, which we weren't really sure if this is immobilised or not.
I really don't think it is.
I don't think they are.
Nah.
But if it's not, we should get a fuel pump prime if we turn the key on. So initialisation stuff's been done. We had to change jumper, get fuel pump to work. That's now working.
Apparently my car has an immobiliser.
So it does.
No f***ing evidence for that whatsoever, but it has one.
This is all your kind of main load factoring settings. So this is going to be Alpha N. So it's all TPS based, RPM based. So we're just going through setting everything, injector size, stuff like that, and then just going to take a look at the fuel table and we're going to try start it.
This is legit the first turn of the key, obviously with just a Megasquirt in it and no map, but will we place bets? Well, will you stop that?
So I can't yeah, well we've no idea how much fuel or how little fuel the base mapp's got in it, so
yeah. And
we've rescaled all of this for Alpha N because it was obviously originally set up for map based because it's most people turbo them, so
Ooh,
That sounds like nowhere near enough.
Not enough fuel.
that was spicy though. I literally just turned the camera off there and now he's up. No, it's dead. What I need to do, mate, they're trying to just not film it. So phase one is more or less complete. We have a running Mega Squirt on a standard inlet manifold on Alpha N, which means tomorrow, because it's currently dark, we are going to hopefully be able to chuck ITBs on, and that map won't need much in the way of a tweak.
Yeah, I mean, we'll put a kind of basic, well, by basic I mean very basic.
No throttle, fires up,
Car will start,
does a thing.
idle reasonably happy. So the good thing about this is we've got it to the point that put throttle bodies on, yes, the airflow will be quite a bit different, but there's no reason why it shouldn't
Tweak.
It shouldn't kick. It should kick basically straight away and at least idle good enough that we can then get it tweaked.
Really, the reason for doing this is because we've got a few things on these throttle bodies that we don't really know we're going to get away with. The first and the most obvious one is going to be the MX5 has a returnless fuel system. Now, that we're not really going to get rid of in this instance. What we'll find is if it starts giving us issues with fuel on the higher end, it's probably going to need the damper. We'll need to come up with some form of solution, or potentially just plumb it into the tank.
People have ran ITBs with returnless fuel systems and not had any issues. Even some guys used to run some folks run turbo as well. So it has been done. The rail at the moment is set up for return system, so you've got a line in, a kind of bridge in the middle to your throttle bodies, and then you've got an exit for the return. So if we can
get away without mint, if we can't, we'll cover it. So on it tomorrow. Saturday morning, quite early, so I'm here first. We have no Daniel, Brian or anyone else. So the first thing I'm going to do, given the success we've had last night, is take the inlet manifold off and ready ourselves for Operation Convince. Just dealt with the bung for the EGR system, which will now no longer be employed, and we are shortly about to chuck on the trumpets.
after you took that monstrosity
Some size, isn't
off. Also heavy.
it? It is, just with the weight saving. And that's alloy. Can you imagine if that was steel? Yeah, anyway. So Daniel's just arrived, so I'm going to do these bits whilst Mr. Wizard starts the laptop fun.
Oh, I've done that.
Something about engines that calms me down.
So, you've done it?
I've done it. It's all ready.
So what's changed?
So the base map that was on it, we obviously set up for Alpha N and stuff, but the ignition table was still for a kind of map-based system.
Right.
So when you do Alpha N, it's obviously based just off a throttle position.
Okay.
You know, your old school kind of ignition system.
Aye, the old mechanical stuff.
Yeah, it's like you're kind of doing a similar thing to that. It's basically you can, when you put the throttle on from 0 all the way up to 100, you will just move the scale all the way up. So you imagine in a car with a map sensor or an airflow meter or something like that, you almost end up with a kind of, it kind of goes in a diagonal, you know, as the revs go up, the load kind of goes up as well. So your timing graph looks quite a bit different from an Alpha N one, because if you've got an Alpha N car, if you're at idle and you mash the gas, it will just go right up to the top cell, and all you'll do is you'll just go across the RPM range.
Right.
So it's all depends on throttle position, so your timing graph looks totally different.
Sorry, little spare engine, you now no longer get to look cool anymore. Psych! They're actually not going on yet. So there are a number of things we're going to have to adapt before this goes into place. One being the old Schneidy Mark 1 injectors, which...
Yes. They're low impedance, so we can't run them on this ECU.
So these injectors came out the engine. Probably the most obvious thing is to chuck them in.
Yeah.
Because they work, and we know they work.
Yeah, I mean, you're not needing a massive amount of extra fuel with these compared to like a turbo, where you know you're talking like over double the injector size. So we'll put these on, and when we tune it, we'll just look at the duty cycle and see how much headroom's left in these.
Similarly, there are a couple of things we need to tidy up. Obviously, the loom we'll need to do as we go. The fuel system we'll get to, because that's going to be a whole thing in itself. But there's also a rather annoying pair of water lines sitting right here, which used to feed up to the original throttle body. So they will need to be linked, basically just bypassed, so there's not going to be a throttle body there anymore. So that goes up from the oil cooler and then goes up into the kind of thermostat region. So the simple way I think I'm going to do this is just take the pipe off, find something the same bore and bypass it completely with a new pipe. So here's an odd task you need to do in fitting throttle bodies. The MX5 engine has the head for the fuel injection system. Let me use England. So the fuel injectors go into the head for the inlets on the original MX5 engine. Naturally we are doing away with all this, but what you will be left with is 4 holes where fuel injectors should go, and they're going to cause vacuum leaks. So what we've got, and this comes with the kit, is little blanks that just go in here. We're just hitting them with a wee bit of silicone, obviously decent automotive silicone, not bathroom shit, so it's not gonna...
But in typical plug-and-play fashion,
we've had to machine them down a bit.
The buttons actually didn't fit. Yes, vacuum will hold them in, but it's only really the silicone that's holding them, so we don't end the race day early. We're going to put 2 wee dods of epoxy on the side of them,
just on the outside
to hold them.
We appear to have jumped a few steps.
Yeah.
We were getting to the anger face. So what we've managed to do here is oil catch can, because obviously we now have no level of filtering air.
I had to go back into the breathers.
This has all been tidied up quite considerably because it was a mess, so that loom's been addressed. We have got fuel pressure regulator, because obviously...
Return system?
Return-ish. We'll get into this later.
Yeah, it's about strange. Yeah.
We have all the vacuum lines that will be distributed from here going into a block. We've also got one line feeding to this, and then the big line going to brakes, which won't be needed for first start, but at least we have them.
It's in. It means then that we can check see if there's going to be enough vacuum through these. There's a wee bit of a concern that they're quite a small diameter.
We have now checked. We will get fuel pressure. It's now been set to 3.5 bar. So turn it.
Yes, that's us. We're good to go.
Yeah.
Ow. I actually need a lot more fuel.
Ha! Just need to make sure these are all tight. Yeah, they're not, so there's no button there. And of course the great thing about throttle bodies is when you shut the bonnet, you'd have no clue there's anything going on. You've got to admit, as improvements go, they're pretty good. So, still to come, and bear in mind I've only got one weekend before this guy goes back on track. We need to make these run properly. At the moment, Daniel's done an amazing job. It fires up, it kind of idles, it kind of runs, but tuning an engine is a bit of a dark art, and it's something that takes time. Now, we're not going to have time to go on a dyno, so we have to do this more or less on the road. But being that it's an Alpha N map, which again, in time we will get into what that actually means. This has been really rushed, so apologies. It's actually quite simple to get this to map. I don't know how much actual out on the road mapping we'll have time to do because we're hampered by weather, time, lighting, the noise off these and trying to understand what we're saying when we're doing the stuff, but we'll get into it properly. Don't forget, like, bell, subscribe, all the stuff everyone on YouTube tells you to do, but you know, it does help us. There's a wee nut, that's handy. If you appreciate the fact that we've not turned on ads, that's because of patreon.com/toolsandtrack. There's also more stuff going on in there as well if you like to go and have a look and help support awesome guys like us. And until next weekend guys, drive safe.